Welcome everyone on our weekly podcast about Databricks release notes.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
We have brought you some updates for this week, and I will give the floor to Gabor to start with one of his nice updates.
Thank you, Bennu. So this week there was a bunch of different things happening inside Databricks. I wanted to mention a few things. I wanted to jump in with Databricks 1 now has a chat feature, which means that now you don't even have to decide which Genie space you want to use. You don't have to decide if you want to use a table or a Genie space, or you want to see some visualizations from a dashboard. You can just simply start a chat, and all of that will be decided for you based on context clues and based on what you're asking and what this Databricks 1 has access to. So effectively, Genie has its own agent, and all of the Genie spaces have its own agent now.
This looks pretty cool. I just fired off a question without even specifying which Genie space it needs to look for. So I guess it will look up the data in whatever spaces there are some data about flights.
Yeah, hopefully it finds the right one. It is very much still in beta. So that means currently it has limitations. The amount of conversations can you have is expected to be a few at this time. It's currently it says one per time, but it might change very rapidly. So in the coming weeks, they might increase the amount of concurrent conversations you might have. And right now, workspaces with many Genie spaces will have potential issues with routing accuracy, but you can still check this out right now.
Thank you. But seems it potentially opens a lot of use cases. So when you don't need to first start and go ahead and create a Genie space that is specialized for something, instead you can go ahead and give it a shot if it can answer your questions.
Continuing on our chat discussion, Genie itself has gotten a few enhancements and bug fixes as well, such as agent mode, which was at one point called deep research inside Genie. Effectively, an AI agent help you, think through the problem and tries to figure out a better solution for you, is right now available in more accounts and in more regions, including Australia, New Zealand, and Japan. Benchmark APIs finally in beta, and we also have conversation sharing in beta, so you can actually point to these Genie conversations to supplement your arguments. And finally, we also have Genie spaces supporting character rendering a little bit better. I think we can see that finally Genie is reaching Asia as well. Glad to see that, and I'm happy for everybody who has a positive impact with this feature change.
If you come back now to our original chat, it seems that it found right data for that and it rendered nice visuals to answer a question. So yeah, looks cool. Looks pretty promising.
It also seems that it's used the agentic mode of Genie to gather a lot of different visualizations together. So, we can see two updates in action right now.
Great. And by the way, I think now the agent mode is the default in Genie.
That's what I use nowadays.
All right. So coming back to something that helps you discover domain-specific answers, there was one thing that we missed from the updates, that is the Discover page and the domains. That really helps this topic. For now, I will just go back to the Lakehouse UI very quickly. And within the Lakehouse UI, you will find this Discover part in beta. So what's this Discover? To be honest, there was already a nice search feature in the workspace. You always had that search feature. Now this is extended with the domain specifications. So for example, here you can create a domain. You can find whatever icon you would like to have. For example, I just created our data about business domain. Let's say we would like to look into the business insights of our company. And what do you set up here? So you can specify what it is, and it's practically just a simple way to categorize your data assets. It's practically a tag that is a special tag that is a domain, which makes it much more easier to find the corresponding data sets. You don't need to, always bucket them, but if you know that this particular thing is in connection with a specific business problem, then you can tag it and it will be visible within this domain. You can also assign technical user and business owner to this domain so that it really helps the collaboration between technical and business people. And the nice thing on top of everything, if we go back to Databricks 1, it is already available for the business user perspective. So you can go here to the domains, and now your domain, your Datapower business domain will be just visible here, and you can already start searching within that domain and get answers within that domain.
Yeah, I've become a business user and business contributor here. That's funny. And if we are already talking about things to name, then we have our favorite bit of Databricks in action once again, and that's Databricks renaming things. This week's victim was our beloved Databricks asset bundles, which now have become declarative automation bundles. So bad news is we have a new name to contend with, new name to learn and to teach to other people in our case. But thankfully, the acronym itself did not change, so it's still DABS. And of course, the name change is non-breaking, so your bundle commands will not change just because people like to call it declarative automation bundles now instead of Databricks asset bundles. Okay, so DABs are still DABs, but they have a new coat of paint.
By the way, this has reached the community as well. So if I open up here the Databricks subreddit, I think there was some discussion below here in the announcement. Okay, it has been renamed. People tend to like or not like it. I think the most important thing is that it's not breaking anything. So the commands are the same, the acronym is the same, and the functionality is same and ever growing. I think they've renamed it because they say it more accurately reflects the usage and the capabilities of bundles. So I guess we are expecting also more functionality coming into here.
I like the fact that they kept the bundle name. It actually reminded me of Stardew Valley, which is a lovely, lovely game. I love to play that a lot because in Stardew Valley, when you do something really nice, you get a bundle. And I always like to think that when I was doing something really well in Databricks, I would also create a bundle as well. So I like this positive connotation a lot.
All right, there are a few other updates. Lake-based autoscaling that now gets a few updates. And before I go into the lake-based autoscaling updates, let me also mention that now lake-based autoscaling databases can be used as Databricks Ops resources. And you might ask, okay, this has existed, but it only existed for lake-based provision databases. And this is a very important functionality. So you can create Databricks Ops with lake-based autoscaling. Practically now you have a fully functioning, easy deployment option for applications that have a persistent backend database. So now that you can use it on lake-based autoscaling, now the scaling problem is also solved. Of course, this requires a lot of enterprise features in lake-based autoscaling. So now a few others coming into lake-based autoscaling. For example, OAuth role management, budget policies and tags, and Lakehouse Sync. Okay, so Lakehouse Sync enables you to have a synced delta table from your lake-based autoscaling table, which means you can just seamlessly run analytics on top of it, and this is managed for you in the background. And the other thing that helps and is, of course, important, now you can set up budget policies. And what are budget policies? Budget policies enable you to attribute cost to specific projects or specific tags. And now this is available in lake-based autoscaling, which makes it possible to completely track the usage of your data products. And There's one other thing that I read in the release notes, that connecting to this, the Databricks usage dashboard is now generally available, which is something I was surprised to hear because I'm using it day to day. And I remember that being announced 2 years ago in the summit, and now it became generally available. So practically, we are talking about the default usage dashboard that you can import from the account console. So you can just go ahead, and if you don't have it, it will look here, import. And if I click here, re-import, you can select the workspace usage or account usage dashboard, and you can select the workspace that you would like to import this dashboard into. Okay, so it's just an easy way to get visibility on top of your usage. And if you haven't used it right now, just go ahead and use it. It's a really good dashboard that will give you insights about your usage.
So lots of lake-based auto-scaling updates. Things need to move at a pace. I think it's nice to see that these become generally available, and it's also nice to see that we get lake-based auto-scaling updates fairly quickly. It seems that there is definitely momentum behind this product. So lovely to see that. I've also brought something that is connected to SQL, although from a different side. We have now a way to create SQL alert tasks for jobs. So if you didn't know, SQL alerts have gotten previously a V2, a new version, a new API as well. So back then, a few years ago, within Databricks, you could create alerts, but they had some limitations, so they reworked them. Now, the new API, the Alert API, is also getting its own task type for the jobs themselves. So what's the point of this? Really, finally, you don't have to have a fixed schedule on which to run, but you can actually connect your alerts, your new type of alerts, into your jobs, meaning that you might have to run everything every 10 minutes. Instead, now you can just simply say, oh, I've done a table update, there must be some kind of alert attached to this. There is an alert attached to this before, so I will just run that as a task that is dependent, just like Banner is showing right now on the screen. I think that's really fun, and it's also a cost-saving feature because when you run alerts, you are running your SQL warehouses. So in this case, if you can run your alerts less but get the same kind of updates, same kind of update cadence within your jobs, then you are absolutely saving some money on that as well.
Right. So this means practically instead of running an alert standalone on a schedule, you can now connect it to, let's say, a pipeline update. And when the update is done, you have fresh data. You can run the alert and check the data if there is anything to be alerted on based on the data. That's pretty much a data-driven approach, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Cool. There are a few other things that I think is worth mentioning. One is I read now Databricks Ops supports UV for Python dependency management. And to be honest, I read this and I thought, well, why it was not supported before? And the key here is that until now, you could of course use UV in a Databricks deployed op, but you had to install the UV dependency in the requirements.txt. So until now, in Python projects, you need to define the dependency using requirements.txt. Now you have native functionality using UV. So instead, you can just simply have your pyproject.toml, define your dependencies, and you have a native UV within the deployment, and it will already make sure that all the dependencies are managed and your script can run. Which I think is a more advanced way of managing your project dependencies, and now it's native in Databricks Ops.
And I also think it's just plain easier since you were eventually going to use UV anyway. I think we are just finally skipping a step and having a little bit better capabilities inside apps as well. I think that's really cool. I also brought something here which is not that connected to Python, although probably this is what you will be writing all of your Python code from now on. OpenAI GPT 5.4 Mini and Nano are available as Databricks hosted models. So if you are inclined towards OpenAI models, now you get the best as hosted models. And when we are hosting the models, we are of course talking about easier access to these models. You don't have to have agreements or licenses with these companies. Databricks has also taken care of that. So I think if you want to get onto the cutting edge with OpenAI, now you can do that as well. Yeah.
There's one thing I wanted to add to this, since we are talking about using AI models. Another release note mentioned that AI runtime is now in public preview. AI runtime is practically the machine learning runtime for serverless execution. And now that it is in public preview, you can go ahead and use it, given that you are in the selected regions where it is available. So here you can see that it's practically two types of hardware. There's used is A10 and H100 GPUs that you can run your models on. And it's not available everywhere. So you will see these regions, practically US regions, can use these AI runtime. And what I wanted to also mention is that there is something in the end here, which is distributed training capability, which practically creates an interface to distribute your trainings on larger number of GPUs. So you don't need to stick to this very well-designed and large GPUs. You mean one GPU for your training, but you can distribute your workloads, which is still a beta feature right now.
We mentioned that Databricks as bundles have a new name. Effectively, you could see this before with serverless. This was called serverless GPU as well. So they sneakily renamed it as well. Now it's AI runtime. I think it's really cool to see deep learning support on Databricks still.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you very much. This was for today. Thank you for watching, and we'll come back with new features and new updates on the release notes next week.
Yes. Thank you, guys. See you.
Thank you.